Need help solving a decimal word problem that involves shortage in excess? Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to look at a P4 decimal word problem that some of our P4 practical kids asked this week. Now this question that you are going to see is a very common kind of math question that you see in your homework or even the exams. And once you know the trick to solving this, you'll never ever be confused by such questions again. Ready to unlock your problem solving skills? Here's the decimal word problem that we were talking about. Let's read this together, okay? Vincent had some money. He wanted to buy 5 movie tickets, but he was short of $35.
Oh my gosh!
So what did he do? Instead, he bought 2 movie tickets and had $2.50 left. And we are supposed to find how much money he had at first. Does this question remind you of anything that you have seen? Let's talk about what shortage and excess questions are. Whenever you see a question that says something like, if you buy this number of things, you are going to be short of some money, and if you buy some other number of things, you are going to have some money left, you are looking at a shortage and excess question, okay? And I know such a question can sound pretty confusing, right? In this example, we are looking at a situation where we have a shortage and an excess, right? But there are also other situations where we have an excess in both cases, or a shortage in both cases. Now, if you're wondering what's the easiest way to solve this, it's definitely going to be model drawing. Where we draw the model for such word problems, we can see things much better and solve it with understanding, rather than reading it over and over again and getting confused, okay? And of course, if you are drawing the model, you need to know the trick to doing this right, and that's why you're watching this practical math video, right? Now let's draw the model for this math problem and you see what I mean, okay? We are given that Vincent had some money, and also what will happen depending on how many movie tickets he buys, correct? Let's start with the first situation. If Vincent bought 5 more movie tickets, we know that he's going to be short of $35. Agree? How do we draw the model to represent this? Well, we could draw 5 units and use each of these units to represent the cost of 1 movie ticket, right? This whole bar that you see here represents the cost of 5 movie tickets, correct? But the thing is, Vincent doesn't have that much money. In fact, we know that he's short of $35, right? And here's the problem. How do we know how much of this bar represents $35? If you're thinking of that, you're definitely not alone, and that's a really good question to be thinking about. To figure this out, we are going to look at the next situation, alright? So let's draw the model for the second situation. Let's think about what we know, okay? If Vincent bought 2 movie tickets, we know that he's going to be left with $2.50, correct? So if we were to draw the model to represent this, how would you draw it? We can draw 2 units, okay? And just like what we did earlier on, we are going to use each of these units to represent the cost of 1 movie ticket. Following so far? Alright, and we are going to draw a short little bar at the end of these 2 units and use this to represent the $2.50 that Vincent was left with. Okay? Now here's the really important part. When we look at our model, do we know how much money Vincent have? Yes, we do. This entire bar that you see here shows us how much he has. We can add how much he spent on the 2 tickets and the $2.50 that he's left with, and this is going to give us the amount of money that he has, right? Let's draw a dotted line to mark this. And why are we doing this? Well, now that we have a better idea of how much he has, we can make use of this to add the $35 that he's short of in the first situation. Remember? We didn't do this earlier on. Now, since this dotted line shows us how much he has, and the 5 units is the cost of 5 movie tickets, this part is going to represent the extra money that he needs in order to buy 5 tickets. Do you see that? Since this difference represents how much he's short of, we can tell that this part has to represent $35. So far so good? Great. And now we are done with the hardest part of the problem. Now let's look at our model and see what we can tell from it. Alright? When we compare the 2 models that we have drawn, these 2 parts are the same, right? And then we see something interesting. This part, which is made up of 3 units, represents a value of $2.50 plus $35. Do you see that? And knowing this is super duper useful. When we work this out, we now know that 3 units represent $37.50. Do you get that? Now let's think about how we can make use of this to find Vincent's money at first, okay? There are 2 ways to do this. We can either find the value of 5 units and then take away the $35 that he's short of, or we could find the value of these 2 units and add the $2.50 that he was left with, okay? No matter which way you choose, we are going to get the same answer. Let's choose the second way for this video, okay? Before we can find the value of 2 units, we are first going to find the value of 1 unit by dividing $37.50 by 3. And when we work this out, we are going to get $12.50 for 1 unit. Do you get that too? Once we have that, let's multiply $12.50 by 2 and see what we have, okay? Do you get $25? And now comes the really exciting part. We're just 1 step away from our answer. Do you know what's the next thing that we should do? If you say add $2.50 to $25, great job. When we work this out, we are going to get an answer of $27.50. And congrats! We have solved this decimal word problem. Now we know that Vincent had $27.50 at first. That wasn't too hard, right? Now that we have learned how to solve a decimal word problem that involves shortage and excess, it's your turn to try out. Hop over to Practical to test out if you have already mastered how to do these shortage and excess questions. Alright? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in there.